Well, some reason or another, I discovered that after I'd been rambling on for another 8 or 9 minutes, that my phone had shut off when I turned the view around for some reason. Either I hit the button, which I have a tendency to do because the buttons are opposite of each other, and or it just bounced off or something to that effect. I don't know, and I don't really want to go back and reshoot the entire thing. So this would be take two of the same topic, the weather. Another commonly discarded set of rules. And like I said, there are plenty of opportunities to make use of this stuff. I mean, they're there for a reason. And the old days, and I'm talking about the old days with nostalgia of the fact we tried to cover, and the game designers of the day tried to cover as many possible scenarios as they could come up with, and or that the players asked and demanded to know. And over time, we've grown used to being able to ad-lib a lot of that stuff. We don't feel the need to have a solid set of cause and effect. But the fact, to still have them means you don't need to come up with them yourself. You have some actual documented stuff, material-wise, rule sets to back up your decisions as a GM if you choose to need to justify them to your players. I looked at the opportunities that weather brings up as pack and parcel, part of the adventuring spirit or the flavor of the game, so to speak. It's like overland travel, getting from point A to point B. It's kind of part of the adventure, and dealing with things like encumbrance and subsistence, food and water, and making sure that your basic needs are met is also part and parcel part of the adventure. And if you've done any kind of outdoor stuff, if you've ever gone out on a hike, a long distance hike, if you've gone up in the mountains and took a week's worth of supplies, you know just how important it is to them to make sure those supplies are stretched, and just how much effort it really takes to survive out there without being prepared, without having prepackaged, pre-designated materials and what have you. And all you gotta do is look at the survival reality shows that came out over the last decade to give you a taste of that. If you haven't gone out in the wilderness yourself. As a younger man, I did a lot of outdoor stuff, big on camping and roughing it, especially when I was in my late teens or early 20s. So I've been there, and I know what it's like to go out there and find my food supplies have spoiled, my water's gone funky, and cut my adventure short because life became much more or less pleasurable when I had to worry about it on a regular basis. And I was fortunate enough to have the means to hike my way back out in short order, get in a car and drive to the nearest McDonald's, and get to be the fat man for nothing. So finding this sort of stuff in this kind of environment is a challenge. Like today, right now, while I'm doing this video, I'm kind of patiently waiting for the regular morning shift crew to show up at the restaurant here, and they're running late. I called the office. The office has no information. Even though I got here a little early, I figured I'll kill some time, and then I'll make some phone calls and see, are they opening today? The fact I see these wires hanging down back here makes me wonder if they've lost part of the power to the building or something, because they still have power lines to the street out in front. I'm not sure what these lines in the back are. They're not the same as the ones out front, but the fact that half their parking lot's blocked off may mean that they're running late in the day. Is it, or is it not going to affect the rest of my day? I know I'm not sitting around here all morning waiting on it. I don't have another job till 2 o'clock. That's the beautiful thing about this job on some days, especially when the weather's nice like this. So weather does play a role, or it can. And I've had this story before. This campaign I ran about 5 years ago. I ran because I only had 2 players at the time. One of our other guys had moved, and we were playing a Star Wars campaign at that point. The 2 remaining guys decided, well, let's just do something different. And when nobody immediately volunteered to be the GM of their own campaign, of course it fell on my shoulders, because it always seems to fall on my shoulders. And so I said, all right, let's do something different. And they both wanted to play dwarves, and I thought, okay, what can we do with 2 dwarves? And I come up with this 2 dwarves and a wagon. And for the all intents purposes, for the short story, they became teamsters and drove a wagon of supplies around, following this route through the neighboring regions, supplying the outposts and small villages that surrounded the Dwarven citadel from which they were based. I decided to keep the tight purse strings and keep the experience while keeping it flowing, keeping it light, because there wasn't any value in having these guys power up, because that wasn't what the flavor of the game was about. And part of the travel, of course, is dealing with the weather. And it's funny how the weather can affect things like encumbrance, subsistence or supplies, food, water, so on, comfort, such as camping and so on and so forth. And there goes the beer guy. He's crazy enough to go on them wires. I'm not too. He didn't have to drag hoses across them. But we got encumbrance, food and water, and travel, right? Well, the weather can affect all 3 of those to one degree or another. And okay, what are you doing, fella? Oh, you got a phone call. Always good, right? Smart man. So, whether you do storytelling, narrative story, work on taking it to the novel level, you really should see that video of mine on that subject if you haven't. Or you're big on the mechanics and keeping score and keeping track of every nut and bolt. Weather's your friend. Make use of it. Enjoy it. Till next time, game on.